Heartwarming call. A cleaning lady, broke but brave, exposes a hidden fraud in 3 contracts. Rain pelted the windows like tiny fists, each drop a reminder of the weight Elise carried. She glanced at the clock, wishing she could teleport into a life where the struggles of single motherhood faded with the sun. At 34, she'd become an expert at hiding her fears behind a warm smile. In the tight-knit neighborhood where every lawn was manicured to perfection, she was the cleaning lady who worked tirelessly while raising 2 spirited kids, Jamie and Lily. They were her heart and soul, the reason she endured late-night shifts and meager meals just to make ends meet. One Tuesday afternoon, while scrubbing the gleaming floors of the property management company where her boss flashed his expensive watch like a badge of honor, Elise's eyes caught sight of something amiss. Stacks of documents lay scattered on a mahogany desk, begging for attention. Heart racing, she stepped closer, wiping her hands on her rag. A mere glance turned into an all-consuming stare. Discrepancies leaped from the pages like glowing embers, illuminating a scheme that could doom families she adored. The air felt thick as dread gripped her heart. Could she expose this corruption? Every piece of evidence felt like a hot potato in her hands, and the idea of losing her job felt more pressing than the thought of battling a tempest. Elise's breath caught as she thought of Jamie's dreams of college, his bright future balanced on her shoulders, and Lily's dance lessons that brought life to their modest home. The thought of potential failure rattled her like shaking coins in her pocket. In this moment of crisis, she thought of Mr. Johnson, her elderly neighbor, a war veteran who always spoke of courage. That thought alone gave way to her first flicker of hope. "Stand up for what's right, Elise," he often advised, and the way his eyes sparkled with belief filled her with warmth. Sipping sweet tea on his porch, feeling the world rise and fall like a favorite lullaby, she decided to confide in him. "Mr. Johnson," she began, her voice trembling, "what if I told you I found something wrong?" His gaze turned to steel, interest peaked, urging her to spill the truth. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days turned into sleepless nights as Elise collected evidence, seeking allies in her mission to bring the truth to light. She felt a newfound resolve as whispers spread through town, drawing people together in support. Yet, as she gathered strength, betrayal crept in like a shadow. A trusted family friend questioned her very intentions, sending waves of doubt crashing into her confidence. The tension in the neighborhood buzzed like a live wire. With only a breath before the confrontation, Elise clutched the gathered papers, her heart hammering. Was she about to seize justice for her community or destroy the fragile life she'd built for her children? As the skies cleared, mirroring the turmoil within her, she readied herself for a battle that could change everything. The moment hung in the air, electric and charged, leaving readers yearning for what would happen next. Elise stood at the edge of her neighborhood park, papers crumpling in her trembling hands. The sun broke through the clouds, casting a soft light over the lush grass, but all she felt was the weight of uncertainty. She could hear the laughter of children and the drone of cicadas, sounds that usually brought her joy but now only deepened her apprehension. With each step, her heart raced faster. She recalled Jamie's dream of going to college, the bright spark in his eyes every time he spoke of his future. Lily's twirls during dance practice echoed in her mind, innocent and filled with hope. Would exposing the truth shatter their world? What if it backfired? The thought of Mr. Johnson's steady gaze came rushing back. His words of encouragement wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. "Be brave, Elise." She took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of her resolve begin to strengthen. As she approached the community center, where a meeting for concerned neighbors was scheduled, her resolve wavered. Voices filtered through the heavy doors, filled with worry and a sense of urgency she hoped to channel into action. She pushed open the door, and the chatter quieted. Eyes turned her way, curious and eager. "Thank you for coming, everyone," the mayor's voice cut through the silence. Elise's heart raced again as she returned to the papers clutched tightly in her hands. After the mayor detailed the troubling rumors about the property management company, Elise stepped forward, her throat dry as she struggled to find the strength to speak. I have something to share. The collective murmur became a crescendo, a mixture of hope and apprehension filling the air. Just a moment, her trusted friend, Amy, interjected, and Elise's heart sank. What if Amy questioned her motives again? Elise, have you confirmed this information? We don't want to cause panic without proof. Panic? Or action? Elise's pulse quickened. She hadn't meant for her voice to rise, but the passion erupted. I've seen the documents myself. Families depend on us. This is about protecting our community. The room fell silent, tension cocooning them all as she laid out her findings. Their faces shifted between disbelief and blossoming support. The first murmurs began again, but this time it was different. People leaned in closer, intent on her words, feeding off her courage like sunlight breaking through dark clouds. It won't be easy, she said quickly, locking eyes with the growing crowd. We could face backlash. I might lose my job. But if we don't stand up for what's right, if I don't, what kind of example do I set for my children? The stakes were high, but she could sense the shift in the room. They were ready to fight back. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours, each word forming a bond they all needed, a united front against the looming threat. One voice, then another, rose up alongside her, pledging support, echoing her resolve. Elise felt fire ignite within her. Just before the meeting ended, one person spoke up. Let us take this to the town hall. The journey ahead felt daunting, yet the thrill of solidarity coursed through her. As Elise stepped outside, the autumn air felt different, crisp, alive with possibility. She took a moment to breathe, absorbing the wave of hope around her. But deep down, a gut feeling nagged at her. Would the community support withstand the pushback from the very people they were challenging? She knew they were on the verge of something monumental, and as she looked at the horizon, the shadows of doubt began to creep back in. Would she have the strength to follow through? The question hung in her mind, igniting a spark of fear and anticipation. What would happen next as the stakes grew ever higher? Elise walked back home, each step weighed down by her thoughts. The vibrant colors of the setting sun painted the sky, but the beauty around her felt distant, like a postcard from another world. She could hear laughter and chatter from families wrapping up their day, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in their community. Would they rally together when the time came? Or would fear keep them in silence? As she entered her tiny apartment, the silence engulfed her. Jamie was already home from soccer practice, his backpack still slung over one shoulder as he rummaged through the kitchen for snacks. Hey Mom, did you hear the news about the town hall meeting? He called out, his voice bubbling with excitement. Elise paused, heart clenching. She wanted to bask in his enthusiasm but felt the weight of the truth looming. Yeah, I was just there, she said softly, trying to appear casual. His face lit up. Some of the kids are saying it's going to be a big deal. Can I go with you? A lump swelled in her throat. It's probably better if you, Mom. The interruption was sharp. Sounds like something awesome is happening. Why can't I be there? She faced him, searching for the right words, desperately wanting to protect him but knowing that truth often comes with a price. It's complicated, Jamie. I don't want you to worry about adult things. His eyebrows knitted together, confusion washing over his face. But I'm almost 13. We talked about making a difference, remember? Those words struck her like an arrow. How could she deny him the chance to stand for something when she was steeling herself for that very fight? A flicker of pride sparked within her. You're right, she sighed, swallowing her fears. You can come. Just promise me you'll listen and be respectful, okay? Promise. He beamed, the tension in her heart easing with his smile. Elise took a deep breath, already revisiting the depth of the task ahead. She needed to talk to Mr. Johnson, the community's unwavering ally. If he could give them direction when things got rough, they might have a fighting chance. After tucking Jamie into bed, she sat at the small kitchen table, seeking comfort in the cup of tea cooling beside her. The papers sat across from her, a stack of evidence waiting for her to make sense of them all. She ran her fingers over the printed words, feeling the heat of frustration bubble up. There was no going back now. Tomorrow they would step into the crucible of their fears together. The night passed slowly, filled with visions of community members, doubts circling their faces, doubts that matched her own. What if they turned on her? What if they didn't back her up? The weight of uncertainty hung over her as she settled into fitful sleep. Morning broke too quickly, sunlight slanting through the thin curtains. Elise made breakfast, mind racing as she prepared for the day ahead. Unsure of what would unfold at the meeting, she needed one more push, something to stir her bones and remind her of her purpose. That moment, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Amy. "Please don't overthink this. We're with you. Let us show them our voices matter." Elise smiled, feeling a rush of warmth. But then a sense of dread washed over her. Would they truly stand with her, or would the fear of losing their livelihoods draw them back into submission? As she gathered her papers, clutching them tightly to her chest, a thought struck her. The real battle wasn't against the deceit itself but the fear that kept everyone silent. Would they find the courage to rise as one? With a pounding heart, she headed out, aware that the next few hours would be pivotal. Could community and courage unite to confront the hidden fraud? Or would the fear remain stronger than their voices? The uncertainty loomed, swallowing her whole as she stepped into the vibrant chaos of their town. She took a deep breath, whispering to herself, "Just be brave." For the fight for truth was only just beginning. The town hall buzzed with energy as Elise stepped inside, the air thick with anticipation. Long tables formed an arena, each seat filled with familiar faces. The hum of voices intertwined, anxiety fizzling beneath the surface as people greeted one another. Jamie stayed close by, glancing up at her, his youthful excitement bubbling under the weight of the moment. "Look, Mom. There's Mr. Johnson," Jamie exclaimed, pointing toward the end of the room. His eyes sparkled with admiration. Mr. Johnson was a staple in their community, the kind of man who fought for justice without hesitation. Elise hoped his presence would help embolden others. Elise nodded, squeezing her son's shoulder gently. "Let us go say hi." As they approached, Mr. Johnson's warm smile calmed some of her nerves. "Elise, Jamie, so glad you made it. You ready for this?" She cleared her throat, unsure. "I hope so. I just want everyone to know the truth. Then that's a great start." "Remember, you're not alone," he assured her, his voice steady. Just what she needed to hear. She allowed herself a small smile, feeling a faint flicker of hope. Messages filled the room, murmurs from neighbors getting louder, a sense of unity taking shape. More familiar faces trickled in, friends and skeptics alike. Elise's heart raced. This was it. Would they heed the call? The meeting began with the mayor's speech, detailing the town's recent projects, highlighting the successes and growth, weaving tales of prosperity that felt distant and hollow to Elise. She watched in silence, her mind a whirlwind. How could they trust such hollow promises when shadows loomed behind? Finally, it was Elise's turn to speak. She squeezed Jamie's hand reassuringly as she approached the podium. The weight of the papers in her hand felt like an anchor, grounding her in this moment, a moment where she could no longer hide from the truth. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice shaky but determined. "I know we've all heard rumors. There are serious concerns about the contracts being signed in our community, contracts that put us at risk." In her mind, the faces of her neighbors flashed before her, the mothers who worked late shifts, the fathers who toiled in jobs that barely paid bills. Their struggles propelled her forward, igniting a fire within her to push through the fear. As she shared the evidence she gathered, whispers rippled through the crowd, anxiety mixed with disbelief, followed by the murmurs of acknowledgement. Elise felt the collective tension. It was thick enough to cut, but hope shimmered just beneath. "I know this may seem daunting, but we have to speak out. We deserve to protect our community. We can demand transparency." Her voice grew stronger, fueled by passion, but even as she spoke, doubt gnawed at her. What if they turned against her? What if instead of support there was only backlash? Suddenly, Jamie broke through the tension, raising his small hand. "You've always told me to stand up for what's right, Mom." His voice rang clear, innocent and confident. The room fell silent, a wave of emotion sweeping over the assembly, from surprise to warmth to courage. Inspired, others began to speak up. One by one, voices joined hers, building a chorus of determination, determined to lift the weight of fear they had carried for so long. Elise's heart swelled. Maybe they would unite as a community, together fighting against the tide that sought to drown them. But then Elise noticed a figure standing at the back, a shadow that made her heart drop. Alex, the very person she suspected was behind the deceit, leaned against the wall, a sinister grin creeping across his face. An icy wave rushed through her. What would he do now that the voices were rising? Clenching her fists, she reminded herself to stay strong. The fight for truth was far from over. Just as the meeting became more heated, Elise knew they were entering dangerous waters. Would they be able to ride this wave of solidarity, or would fear pull them back down? The answer loomed heavy as a cloud. Would they persist in their fight for truth, or would the shadows of doubt suffocate their emerging courage? Elise's heartbeat quickened as she met Alex's gaze across the room. That look, half amusement, half menace, sent a chill down her spine. He seemed unbothered by the growing noise, leaning back as if enjoying the unfolding drama. But she couldn't let fear dictate her actions. She focused on her community, the people who had begun to unite behind her. Suddenly someone shouted from the back, "What proof do you have, Elise? You can't just throw accusations without facts." The words cut through the room, sparking murmurs that rippled like a wave. Elise locked eyes with the speaker, a longtime friend turned skeptic. She could sense the doubt swirling around the room, and it was like a punch to her gut. "By questioning me, you're questioning your own neighbors," Elise responded, her voice rising over the voices. "This isn't just about me. It's about all of us, the families in this town." The passion in her words was a lit match against the pool of doubt, but she knew it would take more than just her voice. Mr. Johnson stepped forward, the formidable presence of a community leader. "She's right. It's time we stand together. I've seen the contracts she's talking about. They don't add up." His deep, resonant voice echoed through the hall, instilling a sense of belonging back into the room, like a heartbeat returning after a moment of silence. Jamie's hand squeezed hers tighter, his eyes wide with determination. This was a pivotal moment for them. She could feel it in her bones. More voices joined the cause, rising in support. Each story shared added weight, pulling them together in a way she could hardly have imagined before tonight. Darkness was being pushed back as she glanced at Alex once more. The smile on his face was now replaced with a narrowed gaze. He shoved away from the wall and began walking toward the front, his presence a jarring reminder that the threat remained. Elise felt her chest tighten. What is he planning? She wondered. "I have evidence right here," Elise announced, gesturing toward the stack of documents on the podium. "These contracts were signed without proper oversight. Let me see those." Alex interrupted, striding forward with newfound confidence. "You can't just claim fraud without showing proof." And then he locked eyes with her, a glimmer of challenge sparking between them. Elise's heart raced. This wasn't just about presenting facts. It was also about standing firm against threats. Staring at him, Elise took a step back, forcing herself to stay grounded. "You're right, Alex. But don't think this is just going to blow over. The town deserves to know exactly what's going on." The energy shifted. Some in the audience shifted their chairs, leaning forward as they awaited the confrontation that was about to unfold. Elise could see expressions hardening, understandings transforming. "Show them the evidence, Elise." A voice called from the back. "We believe you." It was like a bolt of electricity, igniting the crowd again. With a nod from Mr. Johnson, Elise prepared to share the documents. She could feel her hands trembling, yet determination flowed through her veins. Each moment felt like a chapter writing itself into history, waiting to be revealed. But she couldn't let Alex manipulate this moment. As she pulled the top sheet from the pile, the air grew thick with tension, bordering on a standoff. She took a deep breath, ready to expose all that she had unearthed. The questions, the dangers, it was all swirling around them. Would the truth set them free, or would it tighten the noose around her neck? As she thrust the paper forward, the community leaned in closer. Where would this path lead them, toward justice or deeper into the shadows? The stakes had never felt higher. Elise drew a steadying breath, the weight of the document heavy in her hands. As she lifted it above her head, a bead of sweat rolled down her brow. "This is the first contract," she declared, her voice clear yet trembling. "Signed by our town leaders and overlooked. It's been the foundation for decisions affecting all of us." The crowd stared, a hushed anticipation hanging in the air like thick fog. She scanned their faces, searching for any signs of doubt, but instead found focus and courage reflecting back at her. They were ready. "Look," she continued, flipping the page to reveal the next. This one details the financial cuts made to our community programs, while lining the pockets of a few at the top. Each word felt like a spark igniting her fire. A fire she'd had to battle to keep alive for too long. A murmur broke through the group, the sting of betrayal rising like bile. She locked eyes with her old friend who questioned her. Kelly. How could they do this to us? Kelly whispered, disbelief etched across her face. They made a choice, our suffering for their gain, Elise replied, the anger boiling within her. But we can change that. Together we can bring this to light. As she held up the last document, Alex's smugness had crumbled to a look of concern, a hint of panic flashing in his eyes. You think they'll actually believe this? He shot back, trying to regain control of the conversation. They will if we're all standing here. Elise shouted, her voice rising triumphantly. Look around. We're more than just individuals. We are a community fighting for our rights. Her words rang out like a siren, cutting through the tension that had settled thickly between them. The crowd collectively shifted, an energetic force. We're behind you, Elise. Another voice called, loud and unwavering. This time it was unanimous. The tide had turned. Doubt was replaced with resolve. Jamie squeezed her hand tighter, his eyes bright with pride. You've got this, he murmured, his voice a soothing balm over her jagged nerves. Elise faced Alex again, his expression hardening, transformed from playful mockery to something else entirely, an edge of insecurity. It was as if he finally realized the strength of her tenacity reflected in the eyes of the community. He took a step back, trying to regain his composure. You think this ends here? You're just opening a can of worms. You have no idea what you're getting into, he warned, a nervous edge creeping into his tone. She steadied herself, grounded by the support surrounding her. Maybe it does open a can of worms, but it's a can we need to open. It's time for honesty, Alex. It's time to hold those in power accountable. Suddenly, a voice piped up from the back. What are you afraid of, Alex? The truth? It was a challenge, and it echoed through the hall, igniting a wave of murmurs and nods. Elise could feel the momentum building, a whirlwind of determination gathering around them. This was the defining moment, not just for her but for all of them. With the community rallying behind her, she had never felt so strong. But a flicker of dread still took root in her heart. What next? She wondered. Would they follow through? Could this fragile unity withstand the backlash that was sure to come? As Alex's expression shifted, a blend of frustration and fear, Elise knew deep down that their battle was just beginning. The whispers of danger swirled in her mind like an impending storm. Would they stand together against any backlash, or would they splinter back into fear? With every heartbeat drumming in her chest, Elise took a step forward. Now is our time to fight, she shouted. But somewhere in the depths of her gut, a chilling thought lingered. Just how far would Alex go to protect his secrets? Elise's rallying cry hung in the air, a beacon calling to every heart in the crowd. She could see it in their eyes, the hope, the anger, the longing for change. It was infectious. As the murmurs swelled into resolute chants, she felt an undercurrent of energy sweep through the room, binding them all together. Let us take back what's ours, someone called, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Jamie tightened his grip on her hand, his eyes reflecting a promise of unwavering support. For a moment Elise felt invincible, as if nothing could stand in their way. But Alex was still there, his face clouded with uncertainty. Elise could almost see gears turning in his mind as he weighed his options. Whatever the outcome, he wouldn't go down without a fight. We need to be smart about this, he shouted, pulling the attention back to him. Do you really think this will solve anything? You think they'll just give up? His voice was a mixture of skepticism and fear. Injustice doesn't just roll over, Alex. It fights back, Elise replied, her heart racing at the thought of what might come next. But we can't stay silent any longer. If we don't stand up now, nothing will change. Amidst the chanting, a figure moved through the crowd, a younger man, Michael, stepping forward with determination written across his face. What if we start a petition? Get more people involved? We can't let them just ignore us. His hands trembled, but his voice was steady, bringing a new wave of momentum. That's right, Elise shouted, excitement coursing through her again. Once we gather enough support, we can present this evidence to the council and demand accountability. The mood shifted, igniting a flurry of ideas, chatter, and newfound adrenaline. This wasn't just talk anymore. It was becoming action. But as they erupted in energy, Elise felt the creeping chill slip back into her thoughts. She turned, stealing a glance at Alex. He was on the phone now, hurriedly tapping a message. Anxiety stirred in her gut. What was he planning? Then she caught sight of Kelly again. Her friend hadn't moved from the back, her face partially obscured but clearly concerned. Elise made her way through the excited crowd, each step marked with uncertainty. Kelly, what's wrong? I don't know, this feels bigger than we thought. What if they respond with violence? What if they target us? She asked, her voice shaking. Elise glanced around at the empowered faces surrounding them. But isn't it worth it? We can't let fear paralyze us. They've already hurt us for too long. Maybe, but it's more than us, Kelly insisted, her brows furrowed in worry. What about our families? Our jobs? In that moment the truth broke through. It wasn't just about her or even the community. It was about everyone intertwined in this fight, risking everything for a better tomorrow. Elise's chest tightened. We need to ensure they're ready too. Everyone deserves to be part of this. As the chants echoed unbearably loud, a loud crack rang out. The front doors to the hall burst open. Several figures in suits entered, faces hard and determined. The murmurs quieted immediately, the tension crashing down like a wave. Who are they? A voice whispered from the crowd. Elise watched as Alex glanced at them, his earlier bravado gone. This isn't over, he muttered under his breath. Her heart raced in time with the rapid beats of uncertainty. Were they coming to silence them? Or would this spark ignite a fire they could not contain? Stay strong, Elise shouted, trying to hold the crowd together as confusion unfurled. Whatever happens next, we face it together. But even as she spoke, doubt flared in her heart. Would they be able to stand united when the storm of consequences broke? Before she could even catch her breath, one of the suited figures stepped forward, looking straight at Elise. We need to talk. In that moment the air thickened with tension. What could they possibly want from her? The real battle had only just begun. Elise felt her chest tighten as the suited figure moved closer. The silence in the room became palpable. She could hear her own heartbeat, pulsing in rhythm with the growing anxiety around her. Elise, isn't it? The man said, his voice cold and commanding. He studied her, his eyes narrowing as if he were assessing a threat. She took a steadying breath, searching for her voice amidst the whirlwind of emotions. Yes. What do you want? She squared her shoulders, forcing herself to project confidence even as her stomach churned. You need to understand the situation you're in, he replied, his tone a mix of condescension and authority. This, he gestured to the crowd, is not how change happens. You're stirring something you can't control. Tension crackled between them, and Elise could see the faces of her friends reflecting her own turmoil. Jamie, resolute yet worried. Kelly biting her lip in fear. Michael, eyes wide with uncertainty. They were all watching, waiting for her next move. I'm doing what needs to be done, Elise said, her voice stronger than she felt. You can't intimidate us into silence. The man exchanged glances with his colleagues, then stepped closer. We know about the petition, Elise. Your little movement is being monitored. You could inadvertently put everyone at risk, even those who support you. A ripple of gasps washed through the crowd. Elise's heart raced. You think we're afraid of threats? We've been silenced for too long, she shot back, pulling strength from the solidarity surrounding her. We're offering you a chance, he continued. Back down now, and we can handle this quietly. We can provide you with resources, support. Support? You mean like throwing us a few crumbs while you take everything? She interrupted, anger flaring. No deal. His expression darkened. You've made your choice, but understand this. We won't sit idly by while you disrupt things. There will be consequences. Elise felt a surge of power in that moment. This was it. This was what it meant to stand up and fight. But as she watched the man retreat, part of her began to question if her determination could shield them all from what was coming. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the recognition that something else is more important than fear, she thought, channeling the strength of the crowd. The mood shifted again, the crowd buzzing with uncertainty, yet also with defiance. Together, someone yelled, and the chant picked up a life of its own. A wave crashing through the hall once more, amidst the collective roar. Elise felt a tear slip down her cheek, not of sadness, but of fierce tenacity. They were in this together now, a community that could no longer stay silent. As the suited figures retreated, she turned to her friends. "Did you see that? We stood our ground." But Kelly looked unconvinced. "What if they come back? What if they retaliate against our families? Then we'll rally harder. We'll make sure everyone knows the truth." Elise clenched her fists, resolved. "We'll show them they can't silence us." Alex finally stepped forward, his earlier hesitation replaced by a firmer resolve. "I can help gather more people. We need to spread awareness. We need to fight the right way." Elise felt a rush of gratitude wash over her. They were all in this, ready to step into the storm head-on. But deep down a worried nagging persisted. What kind of fight were they stepping into? As the chants echoed higher, Elise caught sight of the news cameras moving in. Would today's uprising be captured? Would they become a symbol of resistance? Or merely a footnote in the larger struggle? The thoughts whirled in her mind, one question rising above the rest. Could they truly withstand whatever was coming next? And just then, behind the crowd, a flash of light caught her attention, someone holding a sign that read, "The truth will prevail." Uncertainty washed over Elise, but so did an unmistakable spark of hope. Clenching her fists, she knew the fight was far from over. What twists awaited them on this journey to expose hidden frauds and injustices? Would her resolve hold strong as the stakes grew even higher? The energy in the room was electric, the air thick with unresolved questions, and the palpable anxiety of what was to come. The crowd had erupted into a chorus of chants, their voices a steady rhythm of defiance. Elise could see the passion in their eyes, like flames igniting a larger fire. But somewhere deep inside, doubt lingered. What were they truly up against? "Come on, gather around," Elise shouted, her voice cutting through the noise. It felt crucial to rally everyone, to remind them of their purpose. Her heart raced as she caught Jamie's eye. He nodded, stepping beside her, raising his voice to draw in the perimeter of the gathering. "Listen, everyone. We need a plan. We can't just stand here shouting. We need to organize our next steps, make sure we're ready for anything they throw at us." The murmurs became ripples of agreement, heads nodding, hearts racing. But before Elise could elaborate, someone in the back raised their hand tentatively. "What if they turn off the cameras? What if the news just ignores us?" It was a worried voice, a plea for reassurance and security. Elise felt the weight of that question. What if? What if they didn't have the platform they hoped for? "Then we make our own news," she exclaimed, clenching her fists in solidarity. "We share our stories on social media, bring people in. The truth won't sit quietly. It's time we got loud." Her voice resonated, igniting the crowd again. In that moment, Elise realized a spark had ignited, and it was the collective power of their voices. "Let us break into teams," Jamie suggested. "We can do a phone tree, spread the word to everyone we know. We can organize a meeting tomorrow, even reach out to other communities who might want to join us." Elise felt hope swelling in her chest. For the first time, she could see how this little movement could grow into something more significant, something unstoppable. But lurking beneath the excitement was the harsh reality of the opposition. She couldn't shake the feeling that the suited figure's warning hung over them like a storm cloud as dawn approached. Their energy shifted from frenzy to methodical determination. They divided into small groups, phones buzzing with messages and plans. Elise wove through the crowd, encouraging every whisper of hope, amplifying their ambitions into the night. "We can't afford to let fear dictate our actions," she told Jamie, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We draw strength from each other. No more silence." But just as Elise was beginning to feel invincible, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket. She pulled it out to see a notification flash across the screen. "Breaking news: police monitor protest near City Hall." Her heart sank. The authorities were already taking note. Sweaty palms and a tightening chest were her only company as the report continued. Quiet is never an option, she murmured to herself. A sudden chill coursed through her veins. What consequences awaited them? Would their families be dragged into this battle? As Elise shared her concerns with Jamie and Kelly, her voice faltered. "What if we're not ready for this?" Before they could respond, Alex burst through the crowd, his face flushed with urgency. "Guys, You won't believe this. I just got word our petition got into the hands of someone influential. Someone who wants to meet us. Elise's breath caught in her throat. A chance to spread their message far and wide. Or was it a trap? When? Where? She managed to ask. Tomorrow at noon, the cafe on Elm Street. They're interested in backing our movement. The whir of excitement was palpable, but apprehension mixed in. Is this real? Who's behind this? Elise thought, staring at Alex's hopeful face. The questions spiraled quickly, rushing through her mind. They had a chance, yet what if this was an elaborate ploy from the very people they were fighting? And as the tension mounted, Elise felt the urgency weighing heavier than ever. Would they seize the opportunity to elevate their fight? Or would curiosity lead them into a web of new dangers? As doubt crept back, one thing was certain: they couldn't back down now. With the dawn of a new day came new challenges. Would they take the leap into the unknown? The challenge loomed, and Elise felt a fire within her. Tomorrow could change everything. But at what cost? The cafe buzzed with energy as Elise stepped through the door, her breath catching at the sight of the gathering crowd. The news about the potential supporter had rippled through town like wildfire, drawing people out in droves. She could see familiar faces, the hopes and fears of her neighbors mingled in the air, an electric tension that felt like a storm waiting to break. "Mom!" Jamie burst through the throng, excitement lighting up his features. "Did you see the petition numbers? They doubled overnight." His smile sparked something within her, a reminder of the reason she was fighting, the promise of a better future for her children. Elise nodded, trying to mask her racing heart. "That's amazing, Jamie. But remember, we need to stay focused. This meeting could be pivotal." The cafe was a swirl of voices, people exchanging stories of hardship and resilience. She reached for Jamie's hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "We're all in this together. Remember?" Before she could catch her breath, Alex appeared beside them, his demeanor a mix of excitement and unease. "The person we're meeting with is here. Let us get ready." Elise swallowed hard, the fear of the unknown curling its fingers around her heart. What if this wasn't the ally they hoped for? What if it was a trap set by those who wanted to silence them? "Breathe, Mom," Jamie whispered, as if sensing her anxiety. His words grounded her like anchors in the rough surf. With a deep breath, Elise nodded and moved toward the back table where a tall figure waited. The man had an authoritative air, his eyes scanning the bustling cafe as if assessing the room. "Hi, I'm Elise," she introduced, her voice steadier than she felt. "David," he replied, offering a firm handshake. "I appreciate you all meeting me on such short notice. Your stories reached me, and I believe there's potential to make real changes here." Hope twisted within her chest. "We want our community to stand together, to fight against the corruption that's been hiding in plain sight." David's nod was encouraging, but then he frowned, glancing around the room. "I need to be clear. Backing from my organization is not without risk. The people we'll be challenging have influence, and they won't go down without a fight." Elise felt Jamie squeeze her hand tighter. "We're ready for whatever comes." David looked her straight in the eyes. "It's not just about being ready. It's about staying united. Are you all willing to take that risk for what's right?" Around them, the crowd seemed to lean in closer, the weight of the moment almost tangible. Their eager faces echoed her own determination. "Yes," she said, her voice rising above the murmurs. "We won't back down." Encouraged by their resolve, David laid out a plan, detailing how they could coordinate efforts to put pressure on the town's decision-makers. Elise felt a spark of hope ignite once more. They were on the brink of something bigger than she could have imagined, a real movement fueled by the strength of a community that refused to remain silent. As the meeting wrapped up, Elise's heart swelled with gratitude for the support surrounding her. Walking home hand in hand with Jamie, she felt lighter. They had mobilized their neighbors, drawing them together like threads in a tapestry of justice. But just as relief settled in, uncertainty crept back. Would those in power retaliate? Would her family bear the brunt of the backlash? The night's shadows seemed to darken as her mind spiraled with worry. "Mom," Jamie's voice broke through, a gentle reminder of their shared goal. "No matter what happens, I believe in us." Elise stopped, turning to look at her son. "Me too, Jamie. We'll face whatever is coming together as a family." Resolved, they approached their building, where a stack of papers awaited evidence, plans and dreams bound in ink. Whatever comes next, it's going to be okay, Elise whispered. They stepped inside, closing the door on the noise of the world outside, united in their fight. The next day, as the sun rose, it brought with it a fresh wave of determination. The community had rallied, the petition gaining momentum. David organized meetings, sharing their cause far and wide. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. People were tired of being silenced. Yet in the shadows, Elise couldn't shake the feeling that the confrontation awaited them just around the corner. Hours became days, and each evening she met with Jamie over dinner, their dreams spilling into plans. But amidst the laughter, worry loomed heavily, especially as whispers of retaliation began to surface. Elise received a message one evening that sent chills down her spine. Stop your pursuit, or face the consequences. Fear wrapped tightly around her heart, gnawing at her resolve. But a flash of Jamie's unwavering confidence lit a fire within her. Mom, we've come too far to turn back now. We're in this together, he insisted, standing tall against the threat looming over them. Determination surged within her. It was time to confront their fears head-on. The following week, as the council meeting approached, Elise stepped onto the stage with her neighbors by her side to voice their demand for accountability. As she began to speak, the weight of their shared journey filled the air, passion fueling every word. And when the crowd erupted into chants, each voice raised in unity, the fear that had threatened to overshadow them began to dissolve. They were no longer alone. They were an unstoppable force demanding change. In that moment, Elise understood the true meaning of bravery. It wasn't the absence of fear, but the courage to stand together in spite of it. They were on the verge of something monumental, and even though uncomfortable shadows loomed ahead, this was their fight. She looked out at the sea of faces, each one filled with resolve, each heartbeat echoing her own. Elise smiled, feeling the warmth of transformation wrap around her like a comforting embrace. They weren't just fighting for justice, they were revitalizing their community, creating a legacy of hope. And as the cheers of support washed over her, she knew they would face whatever challenges awaited them together. United, they would withstand the storm and emerge stronger, ready to claim their next victory. This was just the beginning. Now let us continue to stand firm against the odds, and let the world know together we can make a difference. And here's your call to action. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share our movement. Comment down below your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartwarming transformation. Let us spread the inspiration far and wide.